Here's something worth knowing about. A lot of indie agencies hit the same wall. The work's coming in, but you don't have the team to deliver it all without blowing out margins or burning people out. That's where Sonnet comes in. They've been doing this for 20 plus years, working 100% white label behind the scenes for more than 50 agencies worldwide. SEO, paid media, your brand, their delivery. It's a way to scale without adding headcount. Check them out at sonnet.digital.
Thank you for joining us. I am Kyle O'Brien, Managing Editor of Indie Agency News. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Meet an Indie Agency. We are going to be talking with Todd Juneau, co-founder of Vuja Dé Digital. Thank you so much for joining us from Southern California. How are things in northern San Diego County today?
It's sunny and 70.
Of course it is.
February, so
of course it is.
It's pretty good.
I've got 1.5 feet of snow on the ground. We're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about Vuja Dé Digital, and it's so. Give me How did you and the founders come up with a name?
There's actually a good story to it. Our sentiment about the agency business is that, especially in the media side, which we are in, is it's very commoditized and everything feels the same and familiar. Everything feels very déjà vu. And we said, well, what's the antithesis of that? And it's the backwards version of that. Vuja Dé. Did not know that there was a book written about the Vuja Dé moment. And that is a moment when somebody thinks they're going to encounter a familiar situation and they encounter something very unfamiliar and very different. And that is our brand promise and our value prop, is that we are not like anyone else you've ever worked with.
I like it. I like it a lot. So then feeding off that, what is your agency best known for?
We are primarily known for a very niche area of performance digital media and analytics that centers around working with brands that are a little bit caught between scrappy and enterprise. And those are brands that are spending somewhere between $5 and $25 million in digital media and haven't quite gotten a clean analytics loop built and developed. And so that is our sweet spot. Anything relative to digital media, ad spend in the $5 to $25 million range, with a deep need for much more sophisticated analytic structures.
Gotcha. All right. So then what would you say the top 3 core strengths of the agency are? Kind of feeding off that, of course.
The core strengths would be our sort of strategy and business planning up front. We tend to not advise on spending dollars on media until we have a business strategy that's tied to a financial output based on actual business outcome, not media delivery outcome. So first and foremost, there's business planning and strategy. I think the second core thing is that media is not a zero-sum game. It can't just be done the same by everyone. And the platforms don't necessarily make it so that AI or any other automation is the end-all be-all. It still requires a human in the loop. And the final one would be having a business intelligence team that understands that buying media isn't really the end-all be-all. It's the data and the behavioral connection signals that come from that. And if we can detect those accurately and measure them accurately, we can do something about it. And that's sort of our core 3 areas.
Nice. So, all right, let's get into the independent part of it, because we are indie agency news. So we want to find out, why is it important to be an indie agency these days?
Honestly, for us, it was the only way that we could get to a place where we could do what we wanted to do and hire people who felt like they were not able to do what they were capable of doing. Coming from indie and then going to holdco owned agencies and then back to indie validated that we just can't do what we want to do the right way. That we believe is the right way. If there's anything above us, we have to be the end all sort of decision makers, and we have to be able to hire people who want to work in that environment, which is different than other agency environments.
Certainly. So what is being an indie agency important to your clients as well? And are they coming to you and liking the fact that you are an indie agency?
Yes, what we hear most often is that with the larger enterprise agencies, they are more accustomed to sort of a rotating bench of resources and people that are typically involved on their account. Oftentimes, it's not there. Again, if you think of $5 to $25 million accounts that are working with enterprise level holdco agencies, nothing wrong with the holdco agencies. They're not built to serve brands really necessarily in that size, and so they can't afford to put their senior teams on that. And so what we hear is with an indie agency like ours, what they enjoy is there's not a rotating bench of people. It's senior led consistency and attention that are accountable for the decision making versus sort of just fulfilling a scope of work, set of services. So that's by design. We only focus in that area so that they get that level of attention, and that's what we hear is important to them.
Yeah, certainly. Everybody wants that attention, especially at the highest level. So, now, do you come from a holdco background? What is, or have you?
Both.
Okay.
Started indie, got acquired by a holdco, built and ran two agencies in a holdco, emerging mid cap holdco, and then decided that can't do what we want to do in that situation.
Yeah, so
got to go back to indie.
Yeah, and we know it works. So let's get to why brands should work with you. What is one of the main reasons a brand should come to Vuja Dé?
Honestly, it's if they are, again, sort of feeling like they're stuck between scrappy and enterprise, and they need somebody to be a little bit more radically candid and truthful with them about what is possible. We find a lot of marketers just feel like they just aren't getting that level of truth. And so when they encounter our bit more radical candor and truthfulness about what is possible when spending money to influence human behavior, they tend to find that attractive because it's not a typical thing they hear. Sometimes we will tell clients things they don't want to hear. Oftentimes we'll actually tell them things that they don't want to hear. But that's the truth. And so, we're right side for people who want the truth, whether they like it or not, and not just an agency who's going to do what they tell them to do. Those are the main reasons why the clients that hire us tell us why they hired us over maybe another agency in an RFP pitch.
Right. How long has the agency been around now?
We started Vuja Dé in June of 2018,
Gotcha.
and it's effectively a reboot of one of the agencies we had in the holdco.
Got it. Okay. And so what have you learned from the brands you've worked with over the years, be it in holdcos and on your indie side?
I would say on the indie side, what they want is they want decision making and clarity, which is what we hear most often. They feel they lack the most. I'd say the best brands that we've worked with are very comfortable allowing us to sit wholly in the decision making seat with them, not being sort of told what to do by them, but they're comfortable with the ambiguity of us saying, we have to test things. If a test is to be a real test, it has to be able to fail. It can't always succeed, and it won't always succeed. And so they want the clarity. They're comfortable with ambiguity. They're not interested in just, show me a dashboard with green arrows up. They want decision-making excellence and accountability.
Gotcha. Yep. And I'm sure you have delivered. Do you have some long-term clients that just keep with you because they know that the work you put in is they're going to get back quality every time?
Yeah, I'd say 90% of our clients have been with us from day one. We don't have client turnover, and we don't really have employee turnover for the most part. So any indie agency owner knows that's probably two things that if you can count on that, it makes your life much, much easier.
Oh, yes, it can. Let's talk a bit about talent. You say you don't have much turnover. So, how do you get into an agency like yours, and why should talent put you on their list?
The people that generally come to us and thrive have been in other agencies where they're just fulfilling their job description, kind of to the letter of the job description. What we hear is, I could do so much more, or I have so much more to offer, but things like scope creep or hours tracking, or, the people above me just don't recognize that or don't want to allow me to flex in that way. And they don't really have a framework or a system for that to be allowed. So we look for talent that is senior-ish or senior, that come from those sort of spaces where we know, generally speaking, they're probably in a box and they can't get out. And we explain to them that we hire people more along the lines, or sort of with the sentiment or demeanor around being an entrepreneur in residence. You are here to work on a blank canvas and build something. The owners aren't going to be the ones building everything and telling people how to do it. We're here to enable people to build really great stuff and give them the resources and the operational sort of process and excellence to be able to do that. And there's a certain type of person that wants to work in that type of environment and they thrive in it. There's other people that like more direction and process and things like that. And those people typically don't like our way of doing things.
Gotcha. So with the talent you get, you say obviously with very little turnover, how are you keeping them? How are you keeping them kind of growing and getting the most out of their talent every day?
That's a good question. It's probably a combination of things. Money is always in the discussion, so you have to pay people fair market value. And you have to be able to afford to pay more fair market value, which means your clients have to pay you a fee that allows you to do that. And so that's a big part of how we've structured our business, is to make sure that we get paid a premium price so we can pay premium people a premium living. And so that all has to go hand in hand. But besides the money part of it, I think the ownership values for myself and my partner, Kelly Maguire, is that for better or worse, we're probably not great capitalists because we don't put the profit and the EBITDA before the people. We have focused very, very hard on trying to create, again, an environment where people can thrive and express themselves and be creative and be critical thinkers, and test and fail, test and learn, and not put a lot of handcuffs on them, because we hire them believing they have the ability to do these things. They just haven't been given the right environment to do it in. And generally what happens is those people thrive and grow. And that's, I think, what people want. What we hear most from our team is that they want to grow, they want to learn, they want to be inspired and enlightened, and they want to be paid well. And they want to have the freedom and flexibility to balance work and life. And so I spend the majority of my time making sure that we as a company deliver on those things. And so I think we do a pretty good job of that. We don't lose anyone. So I guess that's the best testament that people stick around for many, many years. And I have employees in this agency that I hired 4 agencies ago that have just followed me through the course of the indie to the holdco back to the indie. So maybe that's a testament that they like what we're doing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good testament. So do you give people time to surf? I see the boards behind you.
Honestly, we don't. We have no policies around vacation. We don't track time. We let people do what they want to do. And for me, I've got enough gray hair that was a very scary thing prior to COVID, because I grew up going to an office every day.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe that it was possible to have people work in a remote environment and trust that they will actually do work for 8 to 10 hours a day or whatever it takes. And I was proven very wrong. I think people work harder, but they also have the flexibility to enjoy whatever time they need to take to enjoy. So if that's to go to your kid's soccer game at 3:00 in the afternoon, you don't have to be here 9 to 5. We don't have to work that way anymore. And great work still gets done. And so we give our team complete autonomy to do what they need to do, when they need to do it, and how they need to do it.
Fantastic. How many people there?
25.
25. And just some remote, some local?
Yeah, San Diego was the home office prior to COVID. We did have a physical office location, and COVID obviously changed that. So we went fully remote, and people have some stayed in San Diego, and the rest have scattered all over the country, and some even internationally.
Got it. Great. All right, let's have a little fun. Not that we haven't been having fun, but let's have even more fun in a little thing we like to call weirdos, misfits, or underdogs. It's everybody in the indie agency world seems to be one of these or a combination thereof. So what would you consider yourself, a weirdo, misfit, underdog, or combo?
I'd say it's a combo of underdog and misfit, but probably maybe more misfit. And that's primarily because we don't really fit into any one model that is typically existing this day and age. And we aren't trying to scale just to grow and become a bigger company. We're trying to stay relatively small and boutique and very opinionated. We have a podcast that my partner and I do called Contrary to Popular Opinion.
Nice.
Because most of our opinions are sort of contrary to the norms, and we tend to try and maintain that point of view because it's distinguishing. So I think we're a little bit misfit in that area, and I would say we're a little bit underdog because we don't always get the credit that we think we deserve. So recently we've had to start entering awards and things like that to get the acknowledgement and the awards to say, hey, we shouldn't be underdogs. But again, we're not for everyone. We're only for a very specific size of client and sort of specific need state, as we discussed earlier. And so I think we're misfits in that area, that we're just not for everyone. We're just for a very specific situation.
Absolutely. And knowing who you are and what you are to people is absolutely as indie as it gets. So, now you get a chance to call somebody out. Just shout out to whoever you want. Could be a CMO, could be a marketer, could be somebody you want to work with, or could be somebody you work with already or have worked with in the past. It's up to you. You're on the seat right now to call out whoever you'd like.
I mean, the only way I can answer this is probably the most aspirationally way I could think of answering it. And that is it's not real. It probably would never happen, probably can't happen. But if I were to be able to call anyone and have a conversation with them, I think it would probably be someone that's in charge of a brand like Patagonia or something like that, because I think that aligns. Those kind of company values align with our values. And I think it would be great to be able to do work and have a partnership with an enterprise corporate brand that has sort of also stuck its middle finger up to the industry and said, we're not going to do things like everyone else. And so I don't have a particular person by name, because I don't know who the CMO or the marketing person is at Patagonia. I guess if I could talk to Yvonne Chenard, that would be the holy grail. Nice. But I think it would be a CMO and a brand that has sort of tried to shun the industry norms and do things differently. That's who I would love to find and talk to.
Great aspirations right there. All right, you heard it here. So where can people find you and get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
They can certainly visit our website, vujadedigital.com. There's a contact form on there. You can look me up on LinkedIn very easily through just my name, Todd Juneau, last name Juneau, and Vuja Dé Digital. And you can message me on LinkedIn, or I guess you could send me an email to tjuneau@vujadedigital.com. And I'm happy to connect anyway.
Excellent. Well, Todd Juneau, co-founder of Vuja Dé Digital, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about your agency, and thank you for being a part of Indie Agency News. We absolutely appreciate it.
I love Indie Agency News. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share our story.
Absolutely, of course. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and come back again for another episode of Meet an Indie Agency. I am Kyle O'Brien, signing out. See you later.